Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, where we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Rose Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content and hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. Tyler Buckner. That is what I have to say right off the top of the show, as we just witnessed an incredible day of college football. Week 3 of college football delivered. I mean, great games galore from start to finish on Saturday as we're about to be going into Sunday. And yeah, I mean, it's still so early in the college football season, but a lot of teams' playoff dreams are already in major jeopardy. Like week 3, like talking about major playoff teams that people felt were going to be like for sure playoff teams. We don't even know if they're going to even have a shot to get in. So it's crazy. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into this show. We got a great crowd already. We got Caden, we got Jackson, Steven, Cherry, and Hummus Hero in the chat, and Will and D as well. Our good buddy Will and D, who and Godfather of the SEC as well. Appreciate you for being here, but I hate it for you, Will. I hate it for you. Tyler Buckner. We might as well just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and talk about Notre Dame, Texas A&M, because this is the game that's on my mind right now. The game I just got done watching. All you probably just got done watching. And do appreciate everybody for tuning in as I recap the best I can these week 3 games. I did miss a lot of the early games. I was busy earlier, was not able to watch some of the earlier games. So if I don't have a lot to discuss on those games, that's why. But I was able to watch the later games. But Notre Dame, Texas A&M. What a thriller of a game this was. Back and forth. I mean, my major takeaways, I did not watch the entirety of this game because I was watching LSU, Florida. And I was watching some of these other games as well. I've flipped through tons of games, trying to watch as many little bite-sized pieces of as many games as possible. But CJ Carr, whenever I turned on this game, CJ Carr, one play, he looked great. And then the very next play, it just looked like he was about to throw an interception over and over and over. He's young. And that's what worries me, when you're talking about these type of teams like Notre Dame, and even Ohio State, even though Ohio State's looking fine, but young quarterbacks, right? Arch Manning at Texas, young quarterbacks that are they ready? We don't know. Bryce Underwood, are they ready for the big stage? CJ Carr is young and being thrust into 2 really big games right off the jump, right out of the gate of his career against Miami and against Texas A&M. That's not easy to do. That's not easy to be, thrust in to right off the gate of your college career as a starting quarterback. And I think he has handled it at times well, and I think at times he has handled it very poorly. So that's kind of what my thoughts on Notre Dame as a whole is, that they're kind of inconsistent. It starts with CJ Carr. He's very inconsistent. I think he's going to get better. I believe in him. I think that over time he's going to get better. He is going to improve. Again, such a young guy. I mean, you don't want to just blame it all on him for this, right? You don't want to just throw it out there like it's on CJ Carr. It's not all on CJ Carr. He was good at times in this game. The pick was bad. The pick was very bad, and he also made a lot of other bad throws as well. But I think the other issue, and Will mentioned already, the defense. Notre Dame gave up a lot of yards in this game. Notre Dame typically is a better defense than this. And A&M looks improved. Marcel Reed going through the ringer, got banged up tons of times in the game, but just kept fighting back. It kind of reminded me a few years ago when Kellen Mond was very beat up. He was really struggling, to stay healthy in a game against Alabama, a few years ago. And he just kept fighting. He kept trying to do everything he could to win. He didn't win, but he was banged up big time. But Marcel Reed just kind of reminded me of Kellen Mond there. Definitely he fought hard. But yeah, I'm with Hummus, man. I think it's more of the defensive issues that Notre Dame had in this game that is why they lost versus the offensive issues. Because, again, Carr was not perfect, but he wasn't the problem. He did not blow the game for Notre Dame. A&M, again, really great win for Texas A&M, but these type of losses for Notre Dame are so bad because Notre Dame is such a brand team. and they are expected to compete for the playoffs every year. Now, it's a 12-team playoff. It's easier to make the playoffs. But every year they get these couple of big games that they have to show up in to prove to people that they're legit, because now the rest of Notre Dame's schedule is not that hard. Yeah, you got USC the rest of the way. I mean, it's like you've got other, okay opponents on the schedule, but these were Notre Dame's two big games, and they're at the beginning of the season, whereas most other teams' biggest games are later in the year. Maybe Notre Dame would be a better team by then. I like, you got Stephen Cherry saying Freeman honeymoon over yet. I mean, how much is this to be blamed on Freeman? How much is it on Carr? How much is it on the defense? I mean, the biggest person to blame is Tyler Buchner. Losing the snap, because this game should have gone to overtime. Then if A&M scored, which they did, to tie the game up, would have been 41-41. But Notre Dame had that mistake. Tyler Buchner, the former Notre Dame quarterback, turned Alabama quarterback, then back to Notre Dame, then lacrosse player, all this sorts of stuff. He's the holder on their field goal kicks, and he blew it. I mean, I literally tweeted on X, just Tyler Buchner. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. That's why Notre Dame lost this game more than anything else. And it sucks that you singularly call out Tyler Buchner, but we don't know what would have happened in OT. We don't know what would have happened if Notre Dame could have got a stop. They almost had it, 4th down, 4th and goal. Couldn't get a stop. And Notre Dame is now 0-2. They're not going to fall massively in the rankings because, again, their losses are to really good teams here. Miami's good. I mean, I almost hate coming out of my mouth, but Miami looks good. They still might have their yearly couple of games where they blow it against garbage teams. We'll see. But it's like right now Miami looks good, and Notre Dame barely lost that game in Coral Gables, and then they barely lost this game at home to Texas A&M. These are two really good teams. Notre Dame is not a bad team at all. But now Notre Dame's in massive trouble because they have no margin for error. They cannot lose again, or they will not make the college football playoff. And our good buddy Will is going to lose a $500 bet. And I really do not want that to occur. I want Will to win that bet. But, I mean, it's just sometimes things don't go your way. And Notre Dame, unfortunately, has had so many instances in the last 30 years of coming up short. Last year, they kind of broke away from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they started to break away with beating Indiana in the playoffs and beating A&M last year, week 1, and beating Georgia and beating Penn State in the playoffs. It looked like Notre Dame was turning a corner. Yeah, they fell short against Ohio State in the national championship game, but it looked like Notre Dame was turning a corner. But this year, they start out 0-2. And again, it's not a Northern Illinois type of loss. These are two really good teams, but they had to at least split. They had to at least find a way to split. They lost to Miami, so you've got to come back home and get a win any way, shape, or form possible that you could do it. And Notre Dame could not get it done. And now they're staring at 0-2. And essentially making the playoffs is almost out of their control. They're going to have to win out. I'm going to look at their schedule really quickly because I can't remember everybody that they play. I know they got USC, obviously. But, I mean, just looking at the rest of their schedule, I mean, at Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas looks improved. You never know with that game, USC. That's about it. The rest of the teams they play are, frankly, all terrible. But see, that's a good and a bad thing because you could say, hey, well, that's going to make it easier for Notre Dame to win out, to go 10-2, make the playoffs. But that's also not really giving Notre Dame a lot of opportunities to get big wins to improve their resume. They're not going to have a signature win. Like last year, even though they had the Northern Illinois loss, they were able to have that A&M win under their belt. They don't really have that now. They're not going to have a big win unless USC has a really good year and Notre Dame beats them. That will be a signature win. Arkansas depends on the season they have in the SEC. But Notre Dame's in big trouble. I mean, the panic button on their season is going way off right now. I mean, they're I don't want to say they're cooked, but they're, again, chances of making the college football playoff are very slim right now. They are very, very, very slim. And I really hate to see it for our good buddy Will, especially because he did that $500 bet. But we've got Caden the Diesel Freak with a $5 super chat talking about what I've been talking about with our good buddy Will. It says, everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. His very famous quoted phrase, and I'll be winning $500 and Will and D will be taking a huge loss and I'll be laughing when he loses. I'm sure you will. Okay, and you already are, because you're pretty certain it's going to be the case. You're pretty certain that you're going to win. But the thing is that it's not over yet. So I wouldn't go that far. But you are this close to winning the bet. If Notre Dame loses another game, you're going to win. And I know Will's an honest guy. He's an honest guy. He's not gonna back out of that. But I still can't believe he actually made that bet. But man, I hate it for Notre Dame. You know, I picked Notre Dame in this game. I had a good weekend picking these games. I'm gonna go through them when we get to the rest of the games. Talk about which games I picked right, which games I picked wrong. I picked more games right this week than not, but I got this one wrong. I picked Notre Dame. I almost went A&M, but I was like, I gotta back the Golden Domers. I gotta give Will's team, the win, and they should have won. But mistakes. Can't have mistakes in a big game, and it's early in the season, but you can't have mistakes. CJ Carr, the pick, a couple bad throws, Tyler Buckner, and Notre Dame falls short, 41-40. An epic game, a thriller. But I cannot believe that Notre Dame is 0-2. I cannot believe it. Even despite the teams they lost to. It's not shocking. Miami and A&M are good, but now Notre Dame's season is in bad shape. And we'll see if Marcus Freeman can turn it around and find a way to win out so they can make the college football playoff. But definitely appreciate the super chat, Cade. Appreciate everybody for being here. We got a great crowd already. Can't wait to get into the rest of the games. And I don't know if I'll be doing call-ins tonight. It depends on how long the show is. But I can't stay up too late tonight. But definitely, we'll see how it's going, whether to bring callers on. But there's so much to talk about with the rest of these games. But definitely hate it for Will. Notre Dame fell short. Then up next, we got Ohio State and Ohio. I mean, there's not a lot to say here. Ohio State didn't look good early. She kind of struggled a bit. But, I mean, this is a game that doesn't matter. Ohio is a competent group of five. Probably the best MAC team. I don't know the best MAC team, but Ohio looks to be pretty good. And they beat West Virginia. So, Ohio State won 37-9. There's not a whole lot to say here. But they got it done. Penn State won 52-6 over Villanova. There's literally nothing to say about that. Then we got Florida LSU. And I'm going to talk about something that is related to this game before I do get into this game at all. Why is Florida Miami the college game day selection next week? I can't even believe that. I don't even care that the contractual obligations with the network that college game day is on and that plays a role in the selection or whatever. I don't care, because clearly that's not the best game next week. There were other options, and I know if Stephen Cherry's still in the chat, he's gonna say, oh, I know which game Jeffrey's gonna say. Well, yeah, I am, but there are other games. I would have accepted other games besides Illinois, Indiana as the college game day selection. Texas Tech, Utah, Tulane, Ole Miss. There's other games out there that I would have been like, okay, I'm okay with that selection. But they picked Florida, Miami. Florida, Miami is your selection after this, after last week's Florida. If Florida was undefeated right now, absolutely, Florida, Miami should be the game. But Florida's 1-2, and I think we just saw DJ Lagway throw 4 interceptions tonight. I'm pretty sure that my math is correct. I saw him throw 4 interceptions. And he was my number 1 quarterback on my quarterbacks list in the preseason. When me, Jackson, and Austin, when we did the selections for our top 10 quarterbacks, I had DJ Lagway at number 1. That is aging like milk because he's playing terribly. Now, I'm not, gonna try to go out there and say DJ Lagway's toast, he's no good, all that, like some people are saying. He was pressured a lot tonight, but at the same time, man, he made some horrible throws. There was one throw that I don't even know what he was looking at. I don't know. I have no idea. Just threw it right to LSU. LSU wasn't that impressive tonight. I mean, I guess you could say their defense was impressive. I mean, yeah, 4 picks on Lagway. But, I mean, did Nussmeier really do anything that blew you away? I'm still confused by that. I understand that I was harsh on Nussmeier in the preseason. I was very harsh on Nussmeier in the preseason for all of his interceptions and mistakes. And, yeah, so far this season, he's toned that down, and he's looked better, and he's been doing a relatively good job and everything. But I don't know. I just still don't think LSU and him are just this elite force here. Yeah, they got athletes, and their defense does look vastly improved. But Florida just gave LSU the game. Just let them win. Florida had multiple chances. I mean, I believe they missed a field goal. I mean, the 4 interceptions. I mean, they had chances to put points on the board. Yeah. See, I'm okay with this. When Stephen Cherry says stuff like this, I'm fine. I don't care who will be the next guy. If they get rid of Napier and those 2 guys are the guys they want, Lanning or Gruden, I'm fine. As long as it ain't Curt Cignetti. I don't care who it is. But when I see Florida fans saying they want Curt Cignetti, and I'm just like, no. You didn't want the guy when he was at James Madison. No. You don't deserve to have him, Florida. I mean, Florida, they're a program just searching to be good. And I really believed in them in the preseason. I thought they were going to be good this year. I know the schedule is hard, but the South Florida game was unacceptable. I mean, clearly South Florida is not awful, but South Florida just got roasted. I'm going to get to that game for brief. I'm not talking about it a lot because there's not a lot to say. Miami killed them. I mean, that's just clear. They completely destroyed South Florida. And Florida lost to them at home. And the spitting and it just, again, reminds me of the shoe. Florida is just a broken program. And the constant fights, and I'm not completely going to say it's all Florida. LSU, they were both getting into it with each other. But Florida just has problems. They got talent, but it never comes together. It never fully comes together. And Lagway, so far this season, has looked like he's regressed a lot. I mean, I flat out just completely regressed. He was terrible in this game. 4 interceptions, just not good at all. Really, at any point in this game, he probably made like 3 throws in the entire game that were like, okay, that's the DJ Lagway we know. That's the DJ Lagway we saw last year when he was playing very well and they were up 2 scores against Georgia. But, yeah, Florida was terrible. They should not be doing game day literally at all next week. Miami, Florida. That's a joke. And Billy Napier, his seat is roasting because looking at the rest of their schedule, I mean, again, how in the world are they going to win 6, 7 games? If they win 6 or 7 games, you got to keep the guy because who in the right mind is going to win more than that at Florida with the schedule they have and the flawed roster they have? Now, I understand you're the coach, you're responsible for that roster, but Florida's always had these type of problems. Urban Meyer had roster problems at Florida, even though he had Tebow, and it covered up a lot of the issues. Florida just has issues. When they're the type players they get, they got problems. They just do stupid crap in the games. Makes it hard to root for Florida as a non-Florida fan. Like, if you're not a Florida fan because you live in Florida or by birth or relatives like them, you watch Florida, it's like you want to root for them, but then their players just do boneheaded junk. They just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, okay, hey, it'd be kind of cool if Florida wins this game against LSU, rebounds. And then they just break it out in fights. They just hurt themselves. You know what I'm saying? Just tons of stupid mistakes. And Napier doesn't have an answer. And if Lagway was his ride or die last year, if he didn't play well last year, Napier wouldn't even have had his job this year. If Lagway don't turn it around, he's done. So we'll see. LSU still not massively impressed with them, but they won. I picked LSU, and Florida just does not look that good. We'll see what they got next week. Oregon Northwestern, didn't watch a lick of this game because I did not see the early games, and Oregon kind of was a little bit shocked they didn't win by more, considering they completely floored Oklahoma State. I mean, it is a conference game. They did have to travel. Honestly, I agree with Hummus. I mean, why would you leave Oregon for Florida? Yeah, the warm weather. Maybe. I mean, I would say slightly more money, but Oregon can pay just as good. I mean, they're doing great with NIL and Nike and everything. I really wouldn't leave Oregon, but yeah, I agree with Hummus there. But yeah, Oregon won. Nothing to say here. Just maybe a little shocking they didn't win by more. I think they did give up a late touchdown to Northwestern. So yeah. I mean, as Stephen Cherry said, it's literally just the recruiting hotbed and the weather. Other than that, it's not really an upgrade. South Florida, Miami, though. Miami completely destroyed South Florida. There was a big delay in this game. I think weather delay. There was a lot of weather delays today. Been a lot of weather delays lately. But, yeah, not a good game. I think people were anticipating this game to be very good. Even some people calling for game day to be at this game. South Florida, like I said, I think is a good team for what they are. But that's why I wanted to see this game before people were starting to jump on the South Florida bandwagon. Like, oh my gosh, they're like maybe as good as Boise in the past. No. It's just, to me, when I look at, the South Florida game, South Florida had momentum after beating Boise. Boise was really bad in week 1. They were clearly not ready to play, and South Florida won. And that was a good win. But then they play Florida, and Florida just completely chokes. This game is the reality of South Florida. A good team for what they are, but against most legitimate schools, ranked schools, they are not going to win. They're not going to beat the Georgias and the Oregons and the Notre Dames, A&M. Well, if Notre Dame, chokes. Any team can choke. But A&M lost to App State. It can happen. But against most big schools, South Florida is not going to be that competitive. I think people got a little hyped on them because of the Florida win. And I did a little bit too. But the Miami game kind of exposed what South Florida is. A good group of 5 team. That's it. Georgia, Tennessee. Oh my gosh. I watched basically all of this game, most of it. Tennessee, man. Every year, I mean, you guys got to admit, every year Tennessee does this in a big game, whether it's Alabama or whether it's Georgia. They start off big, like they're about to just boat race the opponent. Like they're about to just completely run them out of the building. Win 50-7. It started out great in this game. Could do no wrong. Aguilar had like 200 yards, 180 to 200 yards passing within like the first 7 minutes of the game. That's how on fire Tennessee was. And they were up 21-7 very early still in the game. And I was watching this game, and people around me were saying, hey, Tennessee's going to win. And I'm like, hold that thought. Tennessee, I got to wait to see if they can sustain this for 4 quarters, because in years past, we have seen Tennessee choke. We have seen Tennessee fall apart when they have a big lead. And you know what happened? Tennessee fell apart, choked away a big lead, and completely blew this game. What makes this game even sadder, though, is not only did they blow the lead and let Georgia come back and take the lead, Tennessee fought back and took the lead back. And they still somehow lost. I don't even know what to say about this game, honestly. The more that I think about this game, the more frustrating it is, because Georgia fans are going to look at this result, just like all those garbage results they had last year against Kentucky and Georgia Tech and Mississippi State and Florida, et cetera, where they struggled and looked like garbage. But it's like, oh, we won. We're still a dominant team. Georgia is not the same team right now, especially defensively. They are not what they used to be at all. Like, they are a far cry from what they were when they were winning championships under Kirby Smart. They're not as good at all. And yet they still keep finding ways to win somehow, which is frustrating, because if Georgia would just lose a couple games like this, then it would be like, hey, Georgia's worse. Georgia's not as good. But my rationale for saying Georgia is not as good as they were 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, keeps getting negated because they keep winning games like this. The Texas games last year, this game. Georgia is not as good of a team. Their defense is not that great, and their offense has problems, but they still find a way to win. I don't understand how on 4th and 6, Tennessee is up by 8. And on 4th and 6, Gunnar Stockton just chucks it at the end zone. And I'm like, well, it looks like that's done. And then it's a touchdown. It somehow ends up being a touchdown. And then it's like, well, they got to get the 2. And then the guy's wide open for the 2-point conversion. And they tie the game. But what makes it even worse is before all that occurs, I'm sure people saw that drive where Tennessee was up 35-30. And they got that turnover on Georgia. Had plus territory. And Josh Heupel, he had a false start, and then there were 3 run plays. That, to me, was where Tennessee blew the game. They'd been aggressive all game, and they'd been playing well all game. But they decided on that in that moment of the game, it's like, you know what? We're going to play conservative. We're not going to push the ball downfield. We got like 30 yards to go to get a touchdown. But we're just going to run the ball. 3 times. And they kicked the field goal, and Max Gilbert, who we'll talk about later, he hit the field goal, puts Tennessee up by 8. But if they had scored a touchdown on that drive when they had plus territory, if they had been aggressive and scored a touchdown, Tennessee wins this game. They didn't do it. I don't know how many times I've heard the phrase been said, but you play to win. You don't play not to lose. And that's what Tennessee did on that drive. They played not to lose. And when you play not to lose, you lose. Tennessee should have been aggressive. They were playing great. They got the momentum back at that point. Should have went for the end zone. Should have went downfield. Scored a touchdown. Didn't do it. Instead, they let Georgia come back after they kicked the field goal, get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And then Tennessee has a shot to win the game, and then their kicker, Max Gilbert, who hit the field goal earlier, he's a good kicker, he misses. He misses the 43-yard field goal, which was a false start, and they were like, oh, the false start pushed it back. Dude would have missed it from 25 yards. He shanked the thing. It was a terrible kick. But then in overtime, though, he hits it. In overtime, he hits it just fine. And I'm not trying to lay it all on Max Gilbert because, Tennessee made other mistakes in this game, like Josh Heupel, Bobby Hill-Riz, as Jackson always says, which makes me laugh to no end. I love it. But as Bobby Hill-Riz just did not get it done because he played too conservative. He played too soft late in the game. Tennessee should have won. And I picked Georgia to win. So theoretically, I should be happy right now that Georgia won because my pick was right. I'm not happy right now because Georgia is not as good as they've been, and they keep winning. So they're getting away with being not as good. Notre Dame is a good team, but they're 0-2 right now. But they're undefeated. They keep winning. They look like crap against Austin Peay. They had that really bad game against Missouri a couple years ago. They've looked bad so many times the last 2-3 seasons, and that they keep winning. And Georgia's probably going to make the playoffs again. Probably. I'm not predicting that. I think, my record prediction for Georgia was that they would make the playoffs this year. So, obviously I'm thinking they're going to make the playoffs. But then games like this, they should have lost this game. And I would say I feel bad for Rocky Top fans, but you know how Rocky Top fans are. You got to love them or hate them. Some of them are really funny. I got some cool Tennessee followers, but on social media and everything. I appreciate those people, but a lot of them are just crazy. They throw stuff at Lane Kiffin. We know all about that. But, it's just hard to feel bad for Tennessee because they're just sometimes just such a really stupid program in game. Josh Heupel's not a bad coach, man, but he can really call a killer first half, especially first quarter. Dynamite, but then second half just always just falls apart. He can't do it for 4 quarters. And they played a heck of a game today, and they still lost, and it's pathetic. That's all I have to say. It's just a pathetic loss. And I agree with Godfather. I'm an Alabama fan. I'm not supposed to want Tennessee to win. This game is like, okay, whoever wins, Alabama's rivals with both. I know Tennessee's a bigger rivalry theoretically because of the third Saturday in October, the cigars, all that stuff. Georgia's not really a rivalry in that sense, but it is because we've been two of the SEC's best for the last 15 years, and we've had epic battles. But just Georgia and the fans, their fans don't understand how flawed their team is. They're never going to understand it if they don't lose. So somebody's got to beat them. Maybe it'll be us 2 weeks from now. Maybe Alabama will do it. I don't know. But, good win for Georgia and Kirby. I will say Kirby was a good strategist on those timeouts. Good job by Kirby. But, and all that kind of stuff. But Tennessee blew this game. Tennessee and Notre Dame. Two fan bases that are really upset tonight. And there's another team that's really upset too. We'll get to them in a minute. But yeah, just absolutely crazy. Up next, Texas UTEP. I saw somebody mention it going back up. Somebody mentioned that game, talking about how bad Texas Hummus did. Yeah, no, Texas was not good today at all. When you look at Arch Manning, I think his stat line, I saw something like 11 of 25 for 100-something yards. I mean, he had a couple rushing touchdowns, but pretty bad. I mean, against a team like UTEP, that's supposed to be a 50-0 win. So, I don't know. Arch Manning not looking all that good, but again, in Arch Manning's defense, he is young, and he was hyped big time, and when you're hyped big time, people are expecting big things, and his last name and all that, but he's still a freshman, redshirt freshman. It's going to take some time. We'll see what he does later on in the year. But if he doesn't improve, though, Texas is going to lose more games this year by far. Like, obviously, already lost to Ohio State, but they're going to lose some games in the SEC if Arch Manning's throwing 11 for 25. I mean, they might lose 4 games. Gunnar Stockton wasn't that bad. As much as I've been down in Georgia, Gunnar Stockton made some big plays. Arch Manning did not look good today. I mean, yeah, it's good that he got maybe that game out of the way against a bad team in UTEP, but, man, he looked rough. I don't know. It's great. It's great, Stephen Cherry. College football's nuts. I mean, week to week, mood swings. But we're seeing so many bad results from teams like this. It's crazy. Even Illinois. Like, Illinois started out 10-0 against Western Michigan, but that score held for a long time. But they ended up winning 38-0, so all's good for, Champaign, Illinois tonight. Their fans are fine, but, just a little shaky. These teams are just not consistent. But, yeah, Vanderbilt. I picked Vanderbilt. Now, I was correct on this one. I picked Vanderbilt to beat South Carolina. My goodness, I might have just pegged South Carolina. Maybe. I might have. I said all offseason I didn't think South Carolina was going to be as good this year. They got destroyed. Now, I understand Vandy's improved. Vandy is improved. Clark Lee's got something going there with Diego Pavia. They look solid. But this game's at home, dude. It's not at Vanderbilt. It's at home, and they lost 31-7. And, yeah, Lenora Sellers got hurt, but Lenora Sellers wasn't even playing good in the game anyway. So I don't really think it would have mattered all that much. Not a good performance for South Carolina. Honestly, one of the most embarrassing performances of the day, because at least with Notre Dame, they barely lost. Tennessee barely lost. This was a bad loss for South Carolina. I mean, you barely lose this game. You might fall a few spots in the rankings. Now, South Carolina, I mean, they might not even be ranked this week. We'll see. But, that's going to hurt the rankings for them, if they have any college football playoff expectations after this, which probably not. But, I mean, their season, this was a tragic loss for South Carolina. And, I agree. I agree with you, Steven. South Carolina, whenever they're expected to be good is when they are not. And that's not the exact reason specifically that I was like, hey, I don't think South Carolina is going to be as good this year, but it was something I considered. Because it is true. It is strikingly odd that they do that so much. When they're not expected to be good, they might throw out a 9-3 year. And then it's like, oh, South Carolina might make the playoffs. And then, oh, yeah, they're going to go 5-7 this year. It is weird. But I wasn't really thinking that particularly. I was more just looking at the team itself and be like, hey, I don't think their defense is going to be as good. Sellers, had a good year, but now maybe teams will figure him out. It seems like both Sellers and Lagway are both struggling, and I hope for South Carolina's sake that Sellers is fine. He'll be able to play next week or whatever, but they look bad, dude. Vanderbilt, good win for Vandy. Rank Vandy. Petition to rank Vandy from here. I am in all favor and support of ranking Vanderbilt this week. They deserve it. So, yeah, not on my end, Godfather. I was not high on South Carolina. I think I had them going 7-5 this year. And I was generous. I was thinking 6-6. When I went 7-5, I think in my preseason prediction. So not me. But I agree with you. Most pundits were saying South Carolina's playoff team. They're not a playoff team. Unless things dramatically change, they are not a playoff team. Clemson might not be a playoff team. They're now in Notre Dame's boat. They have to win out now. I cannot believe Clemson lost. And I picked Tech. If you guys saw my predictions with Will and D earlier this week, I wanted to pick Clemson so bad, but Will and D swung me over to Tech. He swung me over to Georgia Tech, and boy, am I glad I changed my pick because he was right. And deep down, I thought Georgia Tech had a really good shot to win because Haynes King is a dog. He is a fantastic quarterback. He is a really tough, hard-nosed, gritty player, and I love seeing the connection between him and his coach. Brent Key and Haynes King. It's so nice to see. You just don't see that type of connection much anymore. I mean, when he's talking about, like, hey, I look at it almost as like a brother. A coach saying that about his quarterback, that's just, you don't see stuff like that. That's cool. Like, that's legitimately cool. Now, I will say all the fire Dabo talk, I think that's insane still that Clemson fans are doing that because Clemson knows where they've been. You know what I'm saying? Like, Clemson fans know where they've been before. They used to suck. And it's like what Dabo has done for your program, making you the program that you are, and yet you're talking about him like he's trash. I mean, I've seen people say he's the dumbest coach in college football. And these are Clemson fans. I understand it's social media. People say really stupid things on social media. But it's like, really? We really doing that right now? We're not firing Dabo. I'm not saying we're like I'm a Clemson fan. I'm talking about college football in general. He's not getting fired. Okay? Like, calm down. The two teams that you've lost to, Clemson, are good. LSU's good, and Georgia Tech is very good. LSU's better than Georgia Tech as a team, but I just really like Georgia Tech, so I'm just emphasizing that. They're really solid. And Clemson lost. They look bad against Troy, and I am worried that Cade Klubnik might actually be not good at all, but we'll see. A lot of quarterbacks are not impressing so far this season, like Lagway, like Sellers, like Klubnik. Allers disappointed some, even though Penn State hasn't been tested yet. There's been a lot of disappointment from the quarterback position, but Dabo's not getting fired. Not even close. It will take way more bad seasons and poor performances for Dabo to even be considered to get fired. So I don't understand that. I think that needs to tone down. But Georgia Tech is good, and they're a fun team to watch. And shout out to, unlike Tennessee, where they missed a game-winning field goal, did anybody, I'm sure you guys in chat saw it, because, again, we love college football, and I did see this part. I didn't see the early games, but I saw this play. I saw it at the very end. I was able to turn the TV on. I was watching it. Georgia Tech, I thought it was dumb. They just kept running the ball, but what they did is they, in somehow less than 20 seconds, got their offense off the field with no timeouts, rushed their kicking unit out there, and kicked a 55-yard field goal. I can't believe they did that. I mean, do they practice that, running out there on the field and kicking it real quick? That, if so, incredible. If not, that makes it even more incredible that they were able to pull that off. Just so impressive by Georgia Tech. A lot of Clemson fans in the stadium, too. Yeah, a lot of Clemson fans in the stadium. So, like, Georgia Tech, had to overcome some road, kind of bit of an environment at their own stadium with Clemson fans being there. But I don't know, man. I'm very impressed with Georgia Tech. Glad I picked them. Great performance. Good game. Clemson, though, man, rough start. I don't think anybody saw them going 1-2, but that's where Clemson is. And even if they went out, they might not make the playoffs. I mean, obviously, if they win the ACC championship game, if they went out like that, they'll make the playoffs that way. But, like, if they went out and then lose, they're not going to get in with 3 losses. So, I mean, pretty much they have to win out. They have to win the ACC win out. It's not looking good for them. Clemson's might be cooked. But we'll see. They got some interesting games in the ACC. I mean, the schedule's not incredibly hard because the ACC, but the way they're playing, you never know. They might lose to another Georgia Tech type team, like Louisville. You don't know. But yeah, Clemson's just not good right now. But no firing Dabo. And Georgia Tech should be ranked. Rank Georgia Tech, rank Vandy. Those teams deserve to be ranked. Oklahoma beat Temple. Literally nothing to say there. That was a beatdown. Then up next, we've got Iowa State struggling against Arkansas State. I think another representation of how the Big 12 is not good. I understand that Iowa State has gone on the road for this type of game, and they've been over in Ireland. They've been on a lot of road trips, but it's like Arkansas State's not good. They're not a good team. And somehow Iowa State, just barely wins this game. A win's a win. I mean, but the problem is I've noticed that the AP voters are starting to, if you don't play well in a game, they'll move you down. Iowa State probably might fall a couple spots because they barely won. Just like how Georgia fell and Indiana fell and they barely beat Old Dominion, which I think in hindsight, we'll get to that, might have been a bad decision. Old Dominion looks pretty good. But Iowa State barely beats Arkansas State. Not a good look for the Big 12. Not a good look for Iowa State, but a win is a win. Before we move on, though, I do agree with Hummus. Clemson is a better path to CFP than Notre Dame because they win the conference, looking like they are now. They might lose some more games. That's my thought process. I mean, they have to win out. They have to win the AC to get in, which is theoretically a better path, but they just don't look like it right now, but we'll see. I do agree with you, though. Ole Miss beats Arkansas. This was a thriller. I was flipping this game on along with the Notre Dame A&M game and the LSU Florida game. My goodness, neither team can play defense. But Ole Miss got the stop they needed. They turned Arkansas over late with the fumble. The receiver fumbled it. But, hey, Taylor Green looked good. I don't know if you guys were paying attention to this game or not, but Taylor Green looked good for Arkansas. And I was pretty impressed with Sam Pittman's offense. Not his defense, though. Bobby Petrino's got that offense rolling, so maybe Arkansas might make some noise. That's what I'm saying. Notre Dame better watch out in a couple weeks. Arkansas looked all right. Ole Miss, though, hey, the quarterback change, Austin Simmons kind of banged up. They brought in Trinidad. He looked really good. Ole Miss's backup, who might be their future starter, I don't know. He looked really, really good. And Ole Miss, they're going to put up points on a lot of teams this year in the SEC if they keep that level of offense up. Trinidad Chambliss had 353 yards. A guy that has not played at all, and he just comes in and does as well as he did. That's very impressive. The thing I am concerned about, though, is your defense. I think both teams' defense is terrible. Outside of the one stop Ole Miss got late, both teams, it was just chunk play after chunk play. And I even wrote on, which I know you saw Stephen Cherry, but I even wrote on Twitter, I said, the SEC looks like they've regressed on defense. And I've had some SEC fans respond and say, hey, it's because of the fact that the SEC has so much offensive talent, great offensive lines, great receivers. That's true. But even back when they had great offensive players 10, 15 years ago, they still had great defenses, and the games were more like 17-14. Now they're 42-37 and stuff. I mean, Tennessee, Georgia, 44-41. Georgia's not the defensive juggernaut they used to be. In this game, 41-35. And Alabama's defense isn't as good. These teams just give up a whole heck of a lot more points than they used to. Just not as good. Defenses are not as good. I know offenses have changed and they've got more dynamic in ways, and you even say officiating's played a role. I don't know. But, yeah. An offensive shootout, a fun game, but neither Ole Miss or Arkansas look like playoff material to me unless Ole Miss's defense improves, because they're going to have to play some defense if they're going to win their tougher SEC games. Stephen Cherry said, would Kiffin leave for Florida? Maybe, but I wouldn't. If I'm Kiffin, I stay right where I'm at. I know Ole Miss's limitations. I know they can only really go so far because of the NIL limitations, but it's like you go to Florida, man, every single game you get completely scrutinized to death. I would not take that job if I'm on Kiffin. He's already had the experience at USC. I would not do it. But that's just me. But he could. You never know, but I wouldn't do it. And I doubt he would, but it's possible. I think he'd be dumb to go to Florida. I think he should stay at Ole Miss. Alabama beat Wisconsin 38-14. Great win for Alabama. Don't love the fact they gave up the 2 touchdowns, but you know what? Not perfect. It's okay. Alabama looked very good in this game. My biggest red flag on this game was that Alabama did not run the ball very well in this game. And if they're not running the ball very well against Wisconsin, which I understand people like Wisconsin's known for their run defense, that's fine. That's great. But if they're struggling to run the ball, or just the lack of running the ball against a team like Wisconsin, then how are they going to do that against better teams in the SEC? And if Todd Simpson is forced to essentially throw every single time, that's not good to me. I don't like that. That's just my biggest complaint. I don't have a lot of complaints about this game. I've gone back and watched a little bit of it. I did not see hardly any of this game because, again, I didn't see the early games. But that's a flag. I agree with Godfather. I saw the penalties were less, so that's good. Penalties is great. Simpson looks great. Ron Williams, Bernard, Horton, the receiving crew looks great. Defense mostly was good. I agree that Fickle's probably toast. No shot. Schedule's hard. Doesn't look like they're going to win a lot of games. But Alabama, this was a good win. And then we got a bye before Georgia. I think we have a shot against Georgia. I'm not picking that game, obviously, but that we have a shot against Georgia. I wouldn't have felt that way a couple weeks ago after the Florida State loss. We are better. We are improving. We got a lot of problems still. Got to get better at running the ball. Still clean up some mistakes, some coverage issues. But overall, Alabama looked very good in this game. Pretty good win, especially considering other teams did not take care of business. Utah won in a potential trap game against Wyoming. Wyoming's bad, though. Craig Bohl's gone, not the same team. They're bad. They got a big game next week against Texas Tech. Texas Tech beat Oregon State. I will say, you know what the biggest loser of the week? You want to say Clemson, you want to say Tennessee, you want to say Notre Dame. The biggest loser of the week is the Pac-2. The Pac-2 is trash, folks. Oregon State got blown out against Texas Tech, which you can forgive, right? Because Texas Tech has balled a lot of players. They're improving. So good for Tech, right? You can say that's an expected result. Well, Washington State lost today. And you could be like, okay, Washington State lost today. That's not bad. Well, not only did they lose, they lost 59-10. And you could be like, well, okay, they lost 59-10, but who do they lose to? Georgia, Ohio State? Oh, well, it wasn't those teams. We know who they played. They lost to North Texas, 59-10. How? How are you that bad that you lose 59-10? I understand that Oregon State and Washington State are out of the Power 5. They're out of the Power 4. They're not in the club. They're not in the exclusive club. They got left out. But if they've been left out now for a year and a half, I mean, is it that bad now, you know, that they're relegated to a group of 5, that they get blown out that badly? Washington State, a team that a couple years ago was competitive in their own conference, and now they're losing to North Texas 59-10. That's bad. The Pac-2 is trash. And when the Mountain West becomes the Pac-12, when all those teams join, Oregon State and Washington State are not even going to be able to win the league. They're not even going to be able to win the league because of the fact that they suck. Oregon State and Washington State suck. And any case that you can say, hey, well, you know, maybe they'll do really good in the Mountain West Pac-12 merger thing, and the Big 12 will finally take them. The Big 12 ain't taking them. Nobody's going to take them. They're getting murdered against bad teams. Because Oregon State lost to Fresno last week. So they didn't get murdered, but Fresno's not good. So Oregon State, Washington State, biggest losers of the day. I might just keep shouting them out because it's bad. The Pac-2, the remnants of the Pac-12, whatever the newly formed Pac-12 is going to be, you know, with the basically all Mountain West teams, it just sucks. It's terrible. I hate it for Beavs fans and Cougars fans, but Washington State and Oregon State are horrible. Michigan destroyed Central Michigan. Bryce Underwood, besides one pick, was good. Missouri beat Louisiana down big time. That was good for them. Nebraska took care of business. Maryland gave up some points but won. Virginia, Baylor, Memphis won. Memphis beat Troy by more than Clemson did. Keep that in mind. Very interesting. Then you've got Buffalo beating Kent State. Kent State almost won. Kent State almost won. Good for Kent State, but they still lost. UConn lost to Delaware, and that shows you the ACC's bad because you saw UConn almost beat Syracuse. That game went to overtime, and now UConn plays in another overtime game and loses to Delaware, a team that Colorado destroyed. Colorado's bad. So we're kind of seeing some results here that are showing that the bottom of the ACC and the bottom of the Big 12, not good. But, you know, don't want to clown on them too hard because, again, there are some decent teams in both conferences. It's just they're outshined by the Big 10 and the SEC now. Just what realignment did. But, yeah, UConn, terrible result there. Rutgers won. Michigan State did not look too good against Youngstown. But there it is. That North Texas beating Washington State. That's crazy. SMU wasn't that impressive. West Virginia beat Pitt in the backyard brawl. I got this one wrong. I picked Pitt because West Virginia lost to Ohio last week. But, hey, West Virginia at home, they look terrible. Both teams look terrible. Sadly, the backyard brawl is not what it once was when both teams were actually pretty competitive football teams and they have history. I mean, it's a good rivalry game, but both teams, I mean, this was a terrible football game. Like, you look at the score and you see it's an overtime. Yeah, you got some entertainment value out of that, but I did flip this game on a decent amount. You know, I maybe was thinking about Jackson as I was doing it because I know he loves rivalries and he loves the backyard brawl. I respect him for that, right? You gotta love the college ball rivalries, even the ones that they've tried to get rid of, right? But man, this game was just boring. It was not interesting. Both teams suck. They're bad. Like Eli Holstein, the Alabama transfer quarterback for Pittsburgh, is terrible. And I can't remember West Virginia's quarterback as of right now, but they just look terrible. Like, both teams just did not impress me at all. Not impressed. And good for West Virginia. Good for Joey Foster. I'm definitely glad for Joey Foster that West Virginia won, got a win. But Rich Rod's got a lot of work to do to whip West Virginia into a decent program again. UNC beat Richmond, and they won by a lot. They still weren't that impressive, but hey, a win's a win. Cincinnati won. UTSA, getting to all the bottom games here. Mississippi State destroyed Alcorn. Kennesaw State, who Indiana blew out last week, beat Merrimack by 2 touchdowns. So we know Kennesaw State is 2 touchdowns better than Merrimack. Marshall won, Charlotte won. USC Purdue. Now, you look at this score, and you can take this one of 2 ways. You could either say, hey, Purdue's better a little bit. Well, they're obviously better than last year. They were really bad last year, but they're, a little better. Or USC still isn't that good. I think it's a bit of both. USC's defense still has issues. I don't know, though, if anybody saw this, but there was a play in this game that was insane. Purdue ran this play where the quarterback threw it to the running back or whatever, and the running back looked like he was going to throw. Well, he did. He threw it back to the quarterback, but it almost was picked, and it could have been a pick 6, but somehow the USC guy didn't pick it off. And then the Purdue quarterback picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown, 35 yards out, because none of the USC defenders were even paying attention to the play anymore on that side of the field. And the guy ran it in because it was a backwards pass, so it was a fumble. When the running back threw it back to the quarterback, it was a backwards pass, almost a pick 6, but the guy doesn't get it. The quarterback picks it up, and Purdue runs it in. It was insane. You got to look it up. It was just so stupidly funny how that play happened. But that was one of Purdue's scores. USC, I agree. Stephen Cherry just still looks completely mid. Not impressive at all. Not impressive. But you know what? A win's a win for USC. But they got a lot of work to do to compete toward the top of the Big Ten this season if they have any shot of doing so. Old Dominion, I think we deserve, to give Indiana a little credit now for beating Old Dominion. It was a week 1 game. We've seen other teams choke in week 1. Indiana struggled a bit. Yeah, they did. But Indiana's playing better now. They probably would beat Old Dominion now by 45 instead of 13. They should have won by more in the game that they played, but they didn't blow them out. So Getty was just kind of mad and let the game end. But now we see Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech. And this final score is not indicative of anything because Old Dominion was winning 38-0 at one point, or 38-7. So Virginia Tech scored a couple garbage touchdowns late. Old Dominion destroyed Virginia Tech. And I understand you say Virginia Tech's bad. They are. But Old Dominion beat a Power 4 team by 3 scores on the road. A team they've beaten twice in previous years, but not like this. They completely beat them down. They should have won by 5 touchdowns. So I think Old Dominion is a decent group of 5 team. A decent group of 5 team. And Indiana should not have gotten punished in the AP poll by falling 3 spots to barely beating them, as people said, when they still outgained about 300 yards and should have won by more. But Signetti, instead of kicking field goals, went for it a couple times, didn't get it, and they made a couple mistakes. It's stupid. I don't know, man. I think it was dumb they did that. But, yeah. So then we've got, moving on from that, Iowa beat UMass. I mean, there's not much to say there. And East Carolina destroyed Coastal. Coastal sucks, folks. Coastal has regressed. They're done, right? Like, they're horrible. I hate it because with Chadwell and Grayson McCall, they were fun. But now they're horrible that ECU's beating them 38-0. ECU's better. Like, they're pretty okay. They should have beat NC State almost, but they didn't win. But Coastal's not a good team. TCU beat Abilene, not that impressively, but they won, and Navy beat Tulsa. And then to quickly talk about the Thursday, Friday games, NC State beat Wake, not impressively, but they did win. Robbie Ashford still terrible. He threw 2 interceptions. Indiana, biggest win of the week by any team. Indiana, 73-0. Still more records broken by Signetti. Indiana with the largest home winning streak ever. 11 home games, 1 in a row for Indiana. It's never been done in Indiana history. They won 10 in a row under Bill Mallory at home. Now they won 11 in a row, which I know you can say is not that big of a streak. Other teams have probably won 40, 50 games in a row, but it's Indiana we're talking about, so it's impressive. And Indiana also biggest shutout in basically program history. They beat Franklin College 76-0 in 1901, so I don't know if that really you want to count that or not, but Indiana won 73-0. And last year they beat Western Illinois 77-3. If that had been a shutout, it would have been the biggest ever. But all I can say is, man, it's nice seeing Indiana blow out teams. It shows you that it could be done. A team like Indiana can win if you get the right coach and the right support. And I hope, like Stephen Cherry says, to the bottom of my heart, that he does not leave Indiana for another job like Florida, because I would be heartbroken. If he does, he does, but I hope it does not happen, because Indiana is something. They're actually fun to watch. It's crazy. It's fun to watch. Houston beat Colorado. Colorado stinks. Colorado's bad. They're not a good team. Deion Sanders has no answer. He doesn't have Shadur, and he doesn't have Travis Hunter, and the team stinks. They're bad. Cade Salter's been benched. They ain't even playing Julian Lewis. They're not even playing him. Their 5-star quarterback that they got. And then, yeah, like they got this other dude playing. They suck. Like, they're not a good team on either side of the ball. And they weren't really good last year either. I mean, they barely won like 3-4 games last year. They literally could have been a 5-7 team last year. Not a great team. I know people are, probably like, hey, that's a little harsh, but not fun. Not fun to watch at all. I mean, for the Deion lovers out there, the Deion fans of the world that think that Deion Sanders is a great coach, I don't understand why you think that, other than he's Deion Sanders and he was a great player, so that must mean that he'll be a great coach. Oh, and what he did at Jackson State. You got to realize that at Jackson State, he was playing literally nobody, and his name alone, which allowed him to get a couple of good players, was automatically better than every other team that he was playing. So I don't really think that's necessarily fair to use that as, hey, Deion Sanders is elite. And then now that he's in the big leagues, I understand that, hey, it's tough for competition. It's going to take time. It's not about giving it time. It's because the amount of hype that people give to this dude, like he's a coaching just genius, when I've frequently watched Colorado and he makes 8 billion coaching errors. Mistakes, misuses of timeouts, which that's why people were saying Dabo was dumb today because of misuse of timeouts, which I do agree with, but I don't think his misuse of timeouts was as bad as Deion's was against Georgia Tech in week 1. Houston, I mean, I don't know how good of a team they are. They have a lot of issues still, it seems. But, I mean, Houston was not good last year. And I don't know how improved they are. But, just Colorado, this is a game this is a winnable game for them. You look at the rest of their schedule, and it's like, how many teams on their schedule are better than Houston? Probably most of them. So, it's not looking good for Colorado. Obviously, like with any other team, there's still time to turn it around. But Colorado doesn't even know who their quarterback's going to be next week. They literally have no clue. They don't know. They don't know because it could be Julian Lewis, could be Salter, could be the third-string guy. Or really the second-string guy that probably should be the third-string guy. But we don't know. Colorado does not look good. And to Stephen Cherry's point about I think he's too unhealthy to coach, if that's the case, I hate that. I really do. But he's coaching. And if you're coaching and you have health problems and you're still coaching, then you're coaching. You got to figure it out. I hate, whatever the health problems, he's got going on, and there's many. There's a lot there. I understand. I hate that. And I hope he'll be okay. And I hope Deion Sanders lives for 30, 40, 50, 60, however many more years that he can be on this earth. I want him to live for a long time like everybody else. I don't want Deion Sanders to be unhealthy in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just evaluating my opinion of his coaching abilities, and I don't think they're good. And I think that even if you want to say he's an average coach, which you can make an argument for, that still pales in comparison to the amount of hype that he's been given just because he's Deion Sanders at being a coach. And I just don't like that. I mean, when Deion Sanders was a player, he earned all the hype he got. He earned it. He was a great player. He's one of the best of all time, right? And it's like, yeah, you had to earn that hype. But then it's like, oh, he becomes a coach. It's like people just praising him. Oh, he's so great. I don't like. I don't care for that, because you don't give people unwarranted hype for something that they haven't given you any reason to believe that they are worth that hype yet. He has not shown, hey, I'm one of the best coaches of all time. I've won national titles. Or even if I haven't won national titles, I've gotten really close at a program that doesn't normally win. So he hasn't done any of those things. He's been average at best. That's if you're being generous. But again, health problems-wise, I hope Deion will be okay and that, it's not affecting him that much. Coaching. But I don't think Deion's doing that great of a job right now. But we'll see. Kansas State, Arizona. Kansas State's a mess, dude. They're bad. They're 1-3 now. They barely beat North Dakota. They lost to Army. They lost to Arizona. Arizona's another team that, like Houston, we don't know how actually good they are. They made a lot of errors. Fafita is running around now. He's trying to revive Arizona, but man, Kansas State looks terrible. Avery Johnson has regressed hard, even from week 0 this year. He was not good in this game. His throws were telegraphed. When I watch Avery Johnson play, he just reminds me of other quarterbacks in the past, like Phil Dracovic, that regressed hard. But typically with guys like Phil Dracovic, injuries or some other reason, something happens to the guy that makes them not good anymore. Avery Johnson hasn't had a major injury. Avery Johnson, to my knowledge, has not had anything crazy happen to him that would make his skill set and abilities diminish. So I don't understand what is going on with Avery Johnson and Kansas State at large, but they're a bad football team. And until adjustments are made, if they even are possible to be made this year, they might have an awful season, which would be rare under Chris Kleiman because he's such a consistently good coach. Typically, Kansas State always is like an 8-4 type of team. They just don't look like they're going to do that right now. It's honestly shocking. So definitely Kansas State, one of the biggest surprise teams to be bad this year. I mean, obviously, I know some people are like, hey, when looking at Kansas State, I didn't think they would win the Big 12. I thought they would go like 8-4. Well, they're 1-3. So they're a far cry from being 8-4 with the schedule they have the rest of the way. Big 12 is pretty even. And right now they're losing to teams like Army and Arizona, so it doesn't look like Kansas State is going to go 8-4. So Chris Kleiman's got a lot of work to do just to get K-State to bowl eligibility, and Avery Johnson's got a lot to do to get whatever draft stock he has back. So I hope for Avery Johnson's sake he improves. And Dylan Edwards is even bad, but they're bad. Good win for Fafita, though, in Arizona. And then the last game to talk about is New Mexico, UCLA. UCLA is awful. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm just calling it out from my far vantage point of the situation. That Nico Iamaleava made a stupid, dumb, moronic decision to leave Tennessee. I don't know all the details of what occurred. I don't know if Tennessee pushed him out with the month. I don't know. Because people are like, oh, well, something. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not there. I just know from what I've heard that he wanted more money, and he got it at UCLA. They paid him more than Tennessee did. That's what I know, I think, about the situation. But I think everybody knows about the situation. I don't know anything else. So I can't speculate, rumors. I'm not doing that. I don't know. But the decision in and of itself, whatever happened with Tennessee and the fallout with money or whatever, it was dumb because now he's on a garbage team and he's playing like garbage and his draft stock's dead. And now people are just laughing at the guy. Nico is getting laughed at all over college football right now. And if Tennessee had won today, it would have been even worse. Because Tennessee would have been ranked in the top 10, and Aguilar, a guy coming from App State, is outperforming a 5-star guy that Tennessee paid millions of dollars to get. I mean, it was hype when Nico committed. It was like Jay Rashada going to Florida, which fell out and all that. NIL has hurt players. I feel like when players put NIL before the game is when it affects their careers. Yeah, you want to make some NIL. That's great. Everybody wants to make money, right? That's awesome to do that. It's great that you're getting paid to play college football. It's amazing. But when you're thinking about that, like the amount of money you're making or how much more money could I be making versus playing and trying to get better, you're going to stagnate. And Nico is stagnating right now. So, I don't know. Stupid. I don't know what else to say. I hate it for Nico because he might have just completely screwed up his future life. I mean, even if you fail in the NFL just to get drafted and bounce around something, you can make millions of dollars just being a backup in the NFL. Millions. Well, if Nico continues to suck at UCLA, he's not going to make anything in the NFL. He's not even going to get drafted. He's not even going to get signed. He play in the UFL, but they don't pay anything. I mean, yeah, he's got his NIL money, but you better invest it. I mean, again, I just think, yeah, this. Nico played the short game for a paycheck and lost money in the long run. That's exactly what he did. And the thing is, there's nothing he can do about it because he made the decision. So now he's going to have to transfer somewhere else probably, but where is he going to go? What Power 4 team's going to want him after what happened? It's stupid. I think it is absolutely abysmal what happened. And I don't know everything that happened. I don't know all the details. So again, I don't want to say anything that's false. But what I'm assumed to know about the situation, and I've heard that there might have been some family influence. Bad. B-A-D, bad. Most of the time, all these decisions need to be made by the person themselves. And if Nico made that decision, then that's dumb. But if he had influence by other people to do it, I mean, UCLA sucks, dude. They suck. They are horrible, man. They are bad. They are a terrible team. I cannot believe that Nico Iamaleava probably just threw away his career. You never know. There could be a redemption bounce back story in the future on it, but I'm not high on it. I'm not confident in it. It's not looking good. I can't believe it. 35-10 to New Mexico. New Mexico sucks. They're not even good. And UCLA is that bad. And Tennessee barely lost to Georgia today, but hey, they're a far cry from where UCLA is. So, yeah, Nico, never take the money sometimes in the short term. I know sometimes you got to do what you got to do in life if the opportunity presents itself, but a lot of times taking the money in the short term, you are wasting money in the long term. I agree. Especially when it's just that cut and dry, man. Nico would have had a lot better of a season this year at Tennessee. Now they got Joey Aguilar, who's very happy to be at Tennessee right now. Very happy to be at Tennessee. We got Jackson coming in for a $2 super chat. Let's get Only Talk Sports to 3,000 subscribers. I appreciate it, Jackson. We're getting closer and closer to 3,000 subscribers. Less than 250 subscribers away. I appreciate all of the support. I might open the phone line for a minute because we got a good crowd. I appreciate you guys for being here, but I do have to go to bed soon. Can't stay up late. Definitely not stay up late. So if you guys come on, like however many people come on, like 5 minutes per call, I'm not staying on probably longer than 25, 30 minutes. But I do appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate Caden Super Chat. Appreciate Jackson Super Chat. Appreciate you guys for all of you guys for being in the chat. We got RC as well. Notre Dame, we suck. Notre Dame doesn't suck. They just find ways to lose. That's the thing. You got to find ways to win these type of games. Barely lost to Miami, barely lost to A&M. Those were Notre Dame's two biggest games. That is the thing about being an independent, is that you play, a lot of times Notre Dame plays their toughest games first. Oh, I know it's already late, but I literally, I got to be up in about 8 hours. You know, I want to sleep. I've been up all day today. I've had a long day. So, botched extra point, Tyler Buchner. I talked about this at the beginning of the show. So if you go back and watch that RC, you get my full thoughts on that. Tyler Buchner. Why? Why is he playing football? I mean, again, literally, if he doesn't botch that, no one's saying anything. I wouldn't be saying anything right now, but like, dude, he botched that. Now he's been memorialized. I mean, it is, he's never going to be forgotten now as a collegiate football player. Oh, yeah, he came in for Alabama, was trash against South Florida, and now he's got the botched snap on the extra point for Notre Dame against A&M, a game that probably just blew their playoff chances. So it's just gone from bad to worse for Tyler Buchner. You know, I want to say should have stuck to lacrosse, but it feels too harsh. It does feel too harsh. But you know what? Notre Dame's the one that allowed him to be the holder, man. And yeah, I don't know. That's insane to me. Absolutely insane. I don't get it. He said then literally if the guy throwing the ball throws just a little bit higher than the receiver catch. Yeah, I know. And the thing is Tyler Buchner's supposedly a QB, right? Like, oh yeah, he was Notre Dame's like starting quarterback there a couple of years ago. He goes to Alabama, and I understand he went to Alabama because Tommy Reese left, but I don't even know, dude. Like it's Tyler Buchner is not an Alabama level quarterback. And the only reason why Nick Saban played him in that game was to wake Jalen Milroe up after the Texas game. And it worked. It worked. It's the only reason he did it, though. But yeah, I don't know, man. I have no words for with Tyler Buchner. I hate, you know, like they kept showing him. It's sad. Like he's remorseful. He hates that he did it, but he did. So it's like, it's just a rough thing to happen. I mean, I would hate to be him. I would hate to be him, and I'd hate to be the kicker for Tennessee, Max Gilbert. Well, now I want to be those guys right now. But, you know, Max Gilbert, he's less of the blame. Yeah, if he hits the field goal, they win. But he hits the field goal in overtime, and Tennessee's defense didn't get a stop. So, honestly, you know, there's a lot of other things that you can blame in that game than Max Gilbert. But literally, Tyler Buchner blew the game. I mean, flat out blew the game because game could have gone to overtime. Like, he was directly responsible. So, appreciate that, Godfather, with the 3,000 subs. I appreciate all the support. You guys have been fantastic. I mean, you know, like I said, you know, I think last week I started my channel 3 years ago, and the amount of support that I've gotten from all of you guys is just incredible. Never would have thought we would have made it this far. We're less than 250 subscribers away from 3,000 subs. That is such a big number, and I appreciate you guys so much. We're going to get there. No matter how long it takes, we are going to get to 3,000 subs and beyond, and definitely can't do it without you guys, but I appreciate it. Definitely. Again, if you guys are new, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below if you are enjoying the content. I go live all the time. I do live streams. I have shorts, videos, all on the channel. I try to stay on here as much as I possibly can with content, even though, you know, I got life. You know, it is what it is. You know, I can't post every day. Because I used to do, you know, like I have the slogan. We try to talk sport every single day, at least we try to. At the beginning of my channel, like every day I had a video out. That's just the way it was. Every single day I had a video out. Now the slogan, we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to, is legitimately true because I try to talk sports every single day on here, but it is impossible to sometimes. There's some days it just can't be done. But I try to be, you know, have content, even if it's like shorts from my live streams, like something on the channel every day for you guys, you know. And I appreciate all the support. But, yeah, definitely more content's coming. Going to be doing predictions next week for the NFL and college football. College football, probably do the stream with Will and Dee. Love doing those shows with him. It's always fun. And I won't say as promised because I don't typically promise things because it's hard to fulfill it. They're definitely not promised. But I did say I'm going to try to do a recap show like this every single Saturday night throughout the college football season. I'm going to try to do that. It's very difficult to sometimes, I've had a long week or a long day, whatever, but I'm going to try to do that because, you guys are awesome and I appreciate all the support. Again, the super chat support's been incredible. You guys have been amazing there. I appreciate it so much. And again, all the comments, like, Stephen Cherry saying great job. It means a lot. I care about it a lot. It ain't empty words on my behalf. I mean it. I appreciate it. Because again, can't do these shows without you guys. But I got the StreamYard link. I'll give it a couple more minutes. Nobody calls in. Definitely wrap it up for the night. But even if callers come on as well, I'm not going to be on for too much longer. Just a couple minutes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like that. Unless the conversation is just insane. Like we're like we got a lot to discuss, but I do gotta go to bed soon. But there's so much to talk about tonight. It's been a great day of college football, and it's week 3. It's week 3. It's only gonna get better from here, folks. I can't wait. College basketball play-by-play as well. Yeah, I love doing the play-by-plays. Those are hard to do now because to be nonstop, like 2.5 hours, just go with the game. It can be tough to do, because like I said, I have a lot busier schedule than I used to, but I'll try to do that some this year. No problems, but I'll definitely try to do that this year because I do love doing it. It's fun. It's so fun. College football will be really hard. You have to do more like a watch party where you just got tons of people, or whatever, something like that. I would do stuff like that, but it's just schedule stuff. It's just kind of tough, but RC says top for Colorado to go away. Yeah, get them off screen. Colorado, that whole Friday and Thursday slate, not that great. This was a lot better. The thing is that it's still so early. You don't want to hit the panic button on some of these teams, but even with the expanded playoff, until they expand to 16, 24, 28 teams, which I hope they will never do, and they probably will, no matter how much I wish it won't happen, they probably will. But, as long as it's still at 12, you have to be 10-2. It would be very slim to lose 3 games and get in. Without you have to have, like a conference championship win or something like that to get in with that. So you have to have 2 losses, right, or less. And you've already got Notre Dame and Clemson with 2 losses. So they're pretty much almost done. They have to win out, and it's crazy. That's the case. If you get to a 24-team playoff, then they'd still be fine right now. Oh, they could lose 2 more games and still get in, which, again, to me, just negates the value and exclusivity of making the playoffs. It doesn't even mean as much at that point. But, it's all for the sake of more opportunity. It's more money, folks. It's money. That's why they're doing it. It's not – they don't care about Iowa making the playoffs. They don't care. Sorry, RC, but Iowa going 8-4, making the playoffs is like one of the last bids in a 2018 playoff. It's like, okay. And then they're going to lose by 50. It sucks, but it's true. Even Indiana, who had a really good team last year, got blown out pretty much against Notre Dame. These games are not competitive. SMU got destroyed. These teams that make it just don't win. As much as I was happy Indiana made the playoff, and I hope they make it this year, these games aren't that good most of the time. And if they expand the playoffs even further, it's going to be worse. See, here, I can't think of an example off the top of my head right now because, there's been so many countless examples in past years, but this type of stuff, that's why I can't stand when people say, well, this team beat this team by more than this team did, so that means this team's better. No, it does not, because Ohio State beat Nebraska by 4 last year, and Indiana beat Nebraska by 49 last year, but who was a better team? Ohio State, because Ohio State played Indiana and killed them. No. Just because A team beats C team by more than B team did does not mean A team is better than B team. It does not mean that at all. But that's just the way people are. South Florida beats Florida. Miami barely beats Notre Dame, but then Miami kills South Florida. Yeah, stuff like this always happens, RC. It always happens. But people never understand that. That's why whenever I hear the argument, well, this team won by more than, I just tune it out. I don't even care because it means nothing. It means literally zilch. What matters is your collective body of work. Because you could have a bad game that week, or maybe you're just a bad matchup for that team. Or like in the case of Florida, maybe you're not actually good. Or maybe you were looking at LSU or whatever. Maybe South Florida's tired. Maybe South Florida's just wore out after that really big win against Florida, and then Miami destroys them. We don't know. A lot of different things that you can say. But yeah, People remember Auburn. They barely beat. They lost to New Mexico State, and then they almost beat Alabama. So again, you can't make this stuff up. College football is weird. That's why we love it. If it was predictable, then we wouldn't watch it. If the favored team won every single time, then we wouldn't watch it. Even though, as people say, including Darrell MVP, love Darrell MVP. Me and him are always talking about, most of the playoff games are going to be blowouts if they expanded to 28 teams. And that's true. He's right, and I agree with him. Every now and then you're going to have an Arizona State, Texas. Yeah, Arizona State didn't win, but where an underdog competes, it can happen. It's just rare. It's a lot rarer in football than it is in basketball because the sports are completely different. It can happen. It's just not as common. Yeah, Minnesota, Cal. I think I picked Minnesota. So, to make my record predictions for this week a little better, I'm kind of going for Minnesota, but Cal's winning 17-14 right now. So, PJ Fleck, that'd be a tough loss because supposedly someone gave me a stat that someone said that PJ Fleck's never lost in the Pacific Coast before. So, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm probably sure that it is true that he hasn't lost. But if he loses to Cal, I don't know what that says. Cal looks better this year. They blew out Oregon State, but it's Oregon State, so we'll see. An interesting game there. That's why we love college football. You get these late games between two teams that most people probably don't care about, but us true, hardcore diehard college football fans, we care about these games. Then you got Boston College losing to Stanford. Can Stanford win their first game? Looks like Arizona State's blowing out Texas State. But yeah, Stanford up 7 on Boston College. That'd be a bad loss for Boston College, man. Stanford sucks. And if Stanford always beats somebody, though, so it wouldn't surprise me. But it's going to be very interesting. Then we got RC saying, Arch Manning better get it together if he wants to get drafted. This ready when he get picked. He was a bag of grapes. Yeah, terrible performance, man. It's because it's Arch Manning, people are expecting more. But, man, 11-25, that's just not going to get it done. And then USC, Oregon leaving Pac-12 kill Washington, Oregon State. Yep, because the thing is those teams needed those teams. It's the same thing with Clemson and Miami and Florida State and even North Carolina. If those schools leave the ACC, what's going to happen to Boston College and Syracuse and whatever, Virginia? These schools are cooked. They're not good, so it's these other schools prop these schools up. Indiana gets propped up by Ohio State. It's just the way it is. You're in a league with these people. It props you up. But they're not getting that revenue stream anymore, and that's why they're toast. Washington State and Oregon State, if they never join the Big 12, if it doesn't happen in the next few years, it's never going to happen, and they're always going to be a group of 5, and it's sad. It's sad that they've been relegated, but it is what it is. It's changing times. But I appreciate everybody for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Share the stream out on social media. Great week of college football. Many upsets. Got a lot of the games right. Got a few of them wrong, but it was a ton of fun. And I appreciate everybody for being here. Appreciate the super chat for Jackson and from Caden, the Diesel Freak. And I'll definitely be back soon for another live stream, hopefully with Will and D, doing our predictions this week for week 4. And also, I can't wait for Illinois, Indiana. I just cannot wait for that game. Alabama gets a bye before Georgia, so I'm excited about that. But a lot of games we're going to be talking about next week. And we'll see what happens with Minnesota Cal. We'll find out tomorrow. I probably won't be able to stay up for the rest of it. But appreciate everybody for being here. Appreciate it, Hummus. Thanks to every great show as always. I appreciate you guys a lot. And definitely can't wait for next Saturday night. I'll be doing my week 4 college football recap to see what happens. So hate it for Will and D. Hate Notre Dame lost. Hate it for Dabo. But it is what it is. But what a wacky week of college football. And definitely I will see you guys soon. Appreciate it, everybody.